As mosquitoes swarmed him, Castillo pleaded with guards to bring him inside, he said. He was kept outside for nearly 3 hours. There are fights between detainees over scarce amounts of food, and COVID-19 cases have spread inside one of the cells, Castillo has said. And they said that staff once threw stun grenades into a cell as immigrants protested how they were being treated. But according to Hartman, all these people are just lying. They're lying about all of this.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, this is Ashley Bishop with Status Coup. I just wanted to give you all a brief update on conditions inside so-called Alligator Alcatraz, the ICE detention center in the Florida Everglades. The Miami Herald, which has been doing some excellent work, came out with some new, pretty damning reporting in collaboration with the Tampa Bay Times on the conditions inside the immigration detention center. One of which sounds like guards are engaging in some kind of punitive punishment against detainees, and I will get to that in just a minute. So this came out a couple of days ago on Sunday, how 7 immigrants came to the U.S. and ended up at Alligator Alcatraz. So I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. In the weeks since Governor Ron DeSantis invoked emergency powers to build it, just who is actually in Alligator Alcatraz and the conditions they encounter have become contested topics. While President Donald Trump vowed that the detention center will hold some of the most vicious people on the planet, a roster of detainees obtained last week by the Herald and Times, the Miami Herald and the Tampa Bay Times revealed that of 700 names listed, more than a third had only immigration violations, but no criminal record in the U.S. Last week, Tampa Bay Times reporters visited the detention center in Miami-Dade County and spoke by phone to 7 detainees or their family members about their arrests and their experiences inside Alligator Alcatraz. Though 4 of the 7 detainees were arrested in Florida and charged with felonies, court records show that many of the charges were dropped. It's unclear how many were convicted. Some of the family members declined to identify themselves to the Times out of fear they could face deportation. Here's what the detainees and their families told us. As I've said before, and if you're watching this, you have probably heard me discuss with both immigration lawyers and representatives. It's been extremely difficult to get any kind of confirmation about what's going on inside the facility. So these accounts are invaluable. I'll start with Jordan Castillo, a 43-year-old from Miami. He was a small business owner who has lived in Miami for close to 20 years. The Herald says Castillo had some legal troubles. Miami-Dade court records show felony charges dating back to 2019 for drug possession, which was dropped, a concealed carry violation with no action taken, and fleeing from police, for which he served 6 months probation. And skipping ahead just a little bit, last month, Castillo was arrested for habitually driving without a license. Court records show he was taken to Alligator Alcatraz on July 3rd. 6 days later, Castillo said he was handcuffed and left outdoors in the sun as a punishment for attempting to go on a hunger strike inside the detention center, he said in a phone interview. As mosquitoes swarmed him, Castillo pleaded with guards to bring him inside, he said. He was kept outside for nearly 3 hours. There are fights between detainees over scarce amounts of food, and COVID-19 cases have spread inside one of the cells, Castillo has said. So Castillo is alleging that he was handcuffed and left outside in the Florida sun for 3 hours while mosquitoes ate him alive as punishment for attempting to go on a hunger strike. People are fighting over food and coming down with COVID because of course they are, given the cramped, overcrowded conditions. So skipping ahead a little bit, a spokesperson for the Florida Division of Emergency Management refuted Castillo's account. No guards are harming detainees or leaving them in the sun. That is a lie, said Stephanie Hartman. Officers are highly trained and follow all federal and state detention protocols. Castillo's girlfriend, who asked not to be named, said she speaks on the phone daily with Castillo. His booming voice has softened and weakened since he was detained, she said. So they're lying, Hartman says. Everybody involved with this is just lying. The Huffington Post also reported on a Human Rights Watch report on the grave mistreatment of detainees in facilities across Florida. So this came out just yesterday. Immigrants at Florida detention facilities faced life-threatening medical delays. Report says detainees recall denials of vital medications like insulin and lagging responses to medical emergencies. And I'm going to skip ahead just a bit. So the report, which examines conditions at Chrome North Service Processing Center, the Broward Transitional Center, and the Federal Detention Center, highlights the inhumane treatment that advocates say immigrants have experienced in detention and the dangers they face due to medical neglect. It refers to some detainees by their full names and others by pseudonyms to protect from retaliation. Some detainees described facing life-threatening delays or outright denial of medical treatment, the report alleges. This substandard medical care may have been linked to 2 deaths, one at Chrome and one at BTC. The troubling findings about medical care were among several in the report, which also said that officers used excessive force and treated immigrants in degrading ways. Detainees reported being forced to eat food like dogs, that's in quote, like dogs, as their hands were shackled behind their backs, and they said that staff once threw stun grenades into a cell as immigrants protested how they were being treated. But according to Hartman, all these people are just lying. They're lying about all of this. Even if a majority of these prisoners were violent criminals, there is no justification for this kind of cruel and unusual treatment. These are severe human rights violations. The Huffington Post reporting goes on to say, Human Rights Watch said it contacted Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Federal Bureau of Prisons for responses to these immigrants' accounts, as well as the private companies that run these detention facilities. It only received a response from Akima, a company that provides services for ICE at Chrome, which said that it cannot comment publicly and that it operates its contracts to the highest standards. And of course, DHS denies any wrongdoing. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security pushed back against the report's allegations in a statement to Huffington Post. Any claim that there are subprime conditions at ICE detention centers are false, DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin said. The Human Rights Watch report is based on interviews with 11 immigrants who have been detained in the 3 Florida facilities, as well as interviews with the family members of 7 immigrants who have been detained at these facilities. The group also spoke with 14 attorneys who have worked on immigrants' rights cases related to these facilities. According to, again, DHS and Akima, all of these people must be making it up. He must be making it up too, as is the guard that apparently contacted his partner to tell them to do anything that they can to get them out because they were worried about this man's health. So I'm sure the guard at Alligator Alcatraz is also lying about this. So the Miami Herald report says Morales, who arrived from Mexico without documentation 25 years ago, was arrested on a misdemeanor domestic violence charge in late May in Broward County. Broward County records show on June 22nd, Morales called to say that he was being taken to Alligator Alcatraz, says his partner, a U.S. citizen he has 3 children with. Morales was told he needed an operation to address heart disease in 2023, but could not afford it. He has frequent heart and chest pain that makes it difficult for him to breathe, his partner said. She said that she received calls on Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday from someone who identified themselves as an Alligator Alcatraz guard, informing her that Morales' condition had worsened. According to her, the guard, who told her they could not disclose their identity, urged her to find a way to get Morales out of the detention center, but said they could not help. Morales is struggling to breathe so much that he said that he feels as if he were suffocating. She is worried that he will die before he gets medical attention, which does not sound like an unfounded fear given what the Human Rights Watch report found. Immigrants at 3 Florida detention facilities have been deprived of critical medical care, including access to vital medications like insulin, as well as timely treatments for life-threatening conditions, according to the report from Human Rights Watch. In one account, a man named Chuan says that he was denied all his medications, including for diabetes and heart disease, and that he collapsed days later. In another, a man named Brian says he was denied an inhaler and began spitting up blood. In a third, a woman named Andrea recalls another detainee vomiting green bile, losing consciousness, and being rushed to the hospital for gallbladder surgery after staff initially ignored her symptoms. The report details key problems with medical care, both when it comes to treatment for chronic conditions and when it comes to real-time responses to medical emergencies. Detention facility staff routinely denied individuals with diabetes, asthma, kidney conditions, and chronic pain their prescribed medications and access to doctors, the report states. Immigrants also detailed multiple instances when an emergency was overlooked entirely or treated much later. Staff were dismissive or abusive when detainees were undergoing a visibly obvious medical crisis, the the report states, a man named Juan details calling an officer at Chrome to assist another detainee who appeared very sick, only to be told that processing needed to be completed before that person could receive medical care. The next day, the nurse came and examined him and said he suffered high blood pressure and probably had a mild heart attack. Juan said medical neglect at these facilities may be tied to the deaths of 2 detainees earlier this year, the report states. If I had some more time right now, I would read some more of the Miami Herald reporting, but I'm sure that you can all guess that it is just more of the same kind of stories. This is the US. This is not some developing country. This is happening in the US right now as we are sitting here. And for those in the comments saying that you voted this, make no mistake, you and all the rest of us are moving up in the queue to be on the receiving end of these severe human rights violations. As always, thank you for watching. We will be staying on the story. If you have not yet liked, followed, and subscribed to Status Coup, please do that now. You can become a member and support independent journalism by joining us at statuscoup.com/join. Again, thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video.